From RollingStone.com.
Oh, boy.
Hollywood stars, musicians call for release of Hamas hostages in letter to President Biden. Yeah. You know what the letter's basically saying? It's saying Joe Biden declare war on Iran. Okay, but let's read. They say scores of Hollywood actors, musicians, comedians, and other entertainment figures signed an open letter to President Biden on Monday calling for the release of all hostages Hamas has taken. Among the hundreds of signatories were Amy Schumer, Jerry Seinfeld, Justin Timberlake, Madonna, Katy Perry, Bradley Cooper. The letter is part of a campaign called No Hostage Left Behind, which seeks the release of more than 200 hostages taken during the Hamas attack on Israel. Now, my question is, what is the ask? Hamas has hostages, so you wrote a letter to Joe Biden. It's simple. They're saying, go to war and do whatever you have to do.
The anti-war party is saying, go to war and do whatever you have to do. You know, having run counterterrorism for President Trump and the hostage portfolios and bringing home 54 guys, we kind of know how to do it. And this, Americans have been taken. Joe Biden has brought home none of them. The Qatari government has brought home 4 Americans.
Wow.
4. Yeah. And this warmongering machine, the liberals are saying, yeah, let's do another Afghanistan.
Hollywood hasn't been anti-war in a long time. They've been anti-American for a long time, and pro-Islam during Iraq and Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. Lots of movies bear that out, but they're not anti-war, not in any sense of the word. And right now, I think it's worse than that for a lot of this. I don't even know if it's so much that they think that far ahead. I think that they just know that these are issues that they need to have an opinion on because their public persona requires them to be seen and heard talking about things that matter.
It's a way to stay relevant.
Exactly.
Right? They have to
Which
be
is worse
on it.
somehow.
It's ridiculous. I mean, if you actually
so
cared
cynical.
about anything like this, would you make it so like, I need to post this tweet so people engage with it so they see that I'm empathetic. I mean, it's really ultimately narcissistic and about themselves. I wonder, though, if Hollywood... how much of Hollywood acknowledges that they're not anti-war anymore. It's the same thing with the Democratic Party being like, we're countercultural. And you're like, no, you're not. No. You are the mainstream force and you market this all the time. And yet you claim that you're sort of this weird underdog when you're obviously not.
Their brains don't process that at all. They still believe that they're the counterculture. They still believe that they're the party of anti-war. They also believe that they're the party of the little guy rather than the party of big banks and big money. But for a lot of it, like I've watched every one of these celebrities have the most artfully written response that's supposed to appease both sides, only to watch them one by one get taken out instantly because they don't realize. I think a lot of it is not being fully in touch with your audience. It's like they don't realize the size of their platforms and just how actually diverse the amount of people. Yeah, you're going to get soccer moms who like your stuff, but you're also going to get young leftists. They don't realize that no matter what you say, it's not enough. Mm-hmm. It will never be enough because the most vocal of either side will come at you no matter how neutral you remain. The best thing you could do is not say anything, but they are too addicted to the attention and they need the rub.
And they're self-important. And they think the world needs their opinion, which is challenging. I mean, it's similar to a lot of politicians who weigh on issues that they're actually probably not that well versed in, but they're saying, if I don't get the right buzz out, then no one will pay attention to me again. It's desperate. Yep. I mean, you were talking about this before. They ultimately all want the attention. And that's why I think people fight so hard to stay in office, right? I mean, the fact that Dianne Feinstein stayed in office until she was actually dead is crazy. I mean, that is not wanting to give up power.
It's power and relevancy.
Wasn't
That's
her
all
net
it is.
worth like $100-some million?
No, it was like $1 billion.
It's like
because she married some crazy wealthy guy.
They were like private jet and.
I mean, she married a crazy wealthy guy. The other thing is so in the weeks leading up to her death, she had to sign over power of attorney to her daughter because there's all kinds of legal disputes over the estate. And they said, she was really sick this past year. She had shingles and some complications from that. And so she needs the money for her medical bills. I mean, it's such a strange thing where we're having someone who can't fight their own legal battles, but can still be brought to and from. Nancy Pelosi's daughter was pushing her wheelchair around Congress. But she didn't need to retire. No worries. She's going to stay
Our
on.
country's sick.
That's disgusting. This is the thing. Like, when Josie, the redheaded libertarian, was here, she was saying she would want Ron Paul to be Speaker of the House. And I love Ron Paul. I think he's great. But He is elderly.
Yeah.
Let him just rest and hang out with his kids and write interesting books, but do not make him do this dumb bureaucratic job in Washington until he dies. This is not the culture I want.
And they're the ideological children of Ron Paul that are available.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dave Smith exists.
Yeah.
We like Dave Smith. Make him Speaker of the House.
And then we are again expanding this bench of people who can potentially lead the country in the right direction. Let's just not make Ron Paul work until the end of time.
And meanwhile, Mitch McConnell needs to be rebooted every 15 minutes when he's giving a speech.
Again,
It's that
maybe
seagull.
should the fact that Mitt Romney is the first person to be like, I'll be in my 80s, I should step down. It's like the first sensible thing I've ever heard from him in my life.
I'm gonna throw a Game of Thrones reference out there. You know, this is the circle. This is the wheel that continuously spins, and Donald Trump was the force that broke the wheel.
Yeah.
He broke it for a while and robbed all the people of the Rolling Stone headlines, robbed these people of these important jobs and TV interviews and positions, exploited them for the corrupt actors that they are. I mean, the insiders trading alone between Pelosi and Feinstein should be enough to send them to prison for an eternity.
Got to get that Pelosi tracker.
No,
out.
it's called Unusual Whales or something
I
like
was
that.
going to say earlier,
What?
like
What is
I
this?
follow
Yeah.
all my stock
If you want to
trades,
invest
just
in
trade.
stocks, just look at Unusual Whales because
Yeah.
they are literally citing the upcoming legislation that these guys are betting their gambles on,
Yep, that's
and they
what they do.
track it all. And you can go probably like 5 to 7% return on there.
You're right,
But
you're right.
they figured this out,
Yeah.
and now it'll probably spread where they'll be like, oh, most Americans have figured it out, so
Yep.
we're going to make this
Yep.
illegal.
But they need to. They still need to make money, right? So they're still going to keep doing it. That's why. That's why I make
they're
trades
never
off of what,
gonna
Congress does.
They're never going to write themselves into a law that
Yeah.
says, oh well, we can't.
Of course
do
not.
this.
Of course not.
Matt
Why would
Gaetz
they?
and AOC teamed up trying to stop them from doing it.
The younger generation is saying like, hey, wait, maybe this isn't great.
It's like telling them to introduce term limits.
But I think I'm optimistic.
So needed.
I'm optimistic because if you look at Matt Gaetz, the reason he's able to do what he does is because his donors are individuals on the internet. That he's got small donors.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to go to one man for $1 million. He can go to 1 million men for $1 and women.
No, so look, whatever you think about Matt, and I've known Matt a long time, about whether he's right to start this process or wrong to start
he was
this
right.
process. No, I'm just saying, whatever your position is, I agree. But I'm saying he was the only one that I know of that could go to the well of the floor in the House of the Representatives and announce to the world that I have not accepted $1 from one lobbyist or one defense industrial complex organization. Mind you, Matt has one of the biggest Air Force bases we have in his home district.
Wow.
So for him to go out and say that, and then the chorus of boos comes in, and his response to me was perfect. Every single one of those people booing took a 6- and 7-figure paycheck to their super PACs, maxed out donations, parties in DC, had them on their jets and their planes, and they were caught red-handed with what Donald Trump had caught them with, being the biggest hypocrites who are in charge of running our democracy. And I think he's excoriated for it now, because we're in this position where we'll probably just have Tim Pool become speaker, but we'll get to that. We're in this position where, they're like, it's a rudderless government. I was like, how well was it steered when McCarthy was?
It wasn't
like,
great, to
What do
be
you?
fair.
You were on the you kicked the debt ceiling. You were going to give us another CR. These oversight investigations that were supposed to promise the end of time were being run by wet noodles, and you weren't empowering them to enforce their subpoenas. And now we have an exposure. I think it's a big civics education. You have people paying attention. Of course, the left's going to come in and be like, the Republicans are ruining governor. But hey, right now, they can't pass a CR or an omnibus because there's no speaker of the
They can't
House.
fund a war either.
They can't fund a war. They can't write a check to the Ukraine.
I'm seeing a lot of these conservatives on Twitter be like, what did we really gain from Matt Gaetz' stunt? And like, why did he do this? And I'm just sitting back like, all the libertarians are laughing because now there's stagnation. And there's no more wasteful spending because they can't.
They can't write a check.
It's not what we gained; it's what Zelensky lost.
Right. Dude, have you even heard of that guy? Have you?
No, and he is so
he's
mad
so
about
mad.
it.
He's begging.
He's not happy being the side piece.
No,
again.
I remember after all the stuff, like after the October 7th stuff happened in Israel, he was like putting out statements like, yes, we too have suffered. Don't forget that we in Ukraine, we need some money here.
It's that friend who, like, every time something bad happens to you, is like,
It's
yeah,
actually
something
about that.
worse happened to me.
Yeah.
You know what would be a
Story
good
topping.
way to get Ukraine? And I'm not saying there's people over there that don't need help, and obviously Russia's attacking a lot of zones. But when you go on the interwebs and you type in like Kiev nightclub, it's like Miami Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen these freaking parties? Like my friends have gone over there to do a bunch of work over there, and they're like, what war zone? Like, what are you talking about? You can't have that going on and ask the world for $500 billion.
It is funny because I have like friends that skate in both Russia and Ukraine, and if
Oh,
you
you're
look
a
at-
hockey guy?
No, it's I mean hockey too, but it's skating is like aggressive skating.
Rollerblading.
But like if you were going by their social media posts, like their story posts, it's like the ones who are in Ukraine are posting about fundraising for their fundraising for the military, but then you see their posts and they're just out skating at the skate park, and I'm like, how is that happening right now?
No. This is something people don't get. I talk about a bit. People don't understand that countries in war are not every place in this country
It's
is
not
at
total
war.
war for them.
We know about, but I this is a story everyone's heard me say ad nauseum. In Egypt during the Second Revolution, 2 blocks away from Tahrir Square, where the revolution is taking place, there's a guy at a McDonald's watching a soccer match. Yeah. And there was a casino in the Hilton Hotel. You were not allowed to enter if you were an Egyptian citizen because it's what's the word? Is haram the right word? Like it's a violation.
forbidden, yeah.
Forbidden.
Unclean.
But tourists were gambling in there, playing roulette, craps, blackjack.
Yeah, of course.
2 blocks away from a revolution where Apache helicopters are flying over and there's APCs. People are shooting at each other in the streets. And blocks away, nobody cares.
And these things become normalized, right? I mean, think about the protests in Paris this year. There were so many videos of like these people having dinner at like whatever cute little cafe, and meanwhile something's on fire and someone's throwing something through a window. Like if you've been in conflict for a year, at a certain point, Zelensky's not going to keep you from the bars.
What was the video of like the girl doing like a TikTok dance while a military coup is going on behind her?
That's on Myanmar. That's actually to bring in Burma. Yeah.
There you go. That was.
She was actually a yoga. It was like a yoga thing or something like that. It's even better.
You know her? You call her Serge?
No. It's just like it was great because
That's very current year.
Yeah.
it is
No, but it is.
yeah.
I mean, especially, I know Tim is feeling impassioned about this subject. If that conflict has been going on for actual decades,
just gotta keep going.
You just live with it.
Yeah, eventually.
All right. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.